Let's talk about something that not enough people in the high performance world are talking about. And this is probably a huge key that you are missing in your life when it comes to becoming a high performer. And I promise if you watch till the end, I'm going to give you strategies on how to optimize this one thing in your life because it is going to completely just change up how you show up in the world. And it's probably something that you have not considered before. Now, when it comes to the high performance world, something that always frustrates me is just how much emphasis there is on the mind and the mindset. You'll hear people talking about say the positive affirmations, wake up and visualize, and make sure that when you experience a negative thought, like you cancel it and you change it to a positive thought, and make sure that you focus on the good and focus on the feeling good and the gratitude and all of that stuff. And please don't get me wrong here. I love all of that stuff. I am like so huge into the visualization and the feeling good and the manifestation and all of that fun stuff. And oh my God, here is my doggy. So let me freaking go get him. So my dog is a 10-year-old husky and he just loves to sit out on the porch all day long. But then during the day, he'll like bark and want to be let in and out. So that was him basically barking. So getting back to this. So in the high performance world, we're just so focused on the mindset piece of things. And the issue with that is that when we're just so heavily focused on the mindset, we forget about our bodies. And if you have ever felt like you are frustrated with your mindset, like you're trying to do all the positive thinking and the visualizations and the gratitude, and none of it feels like it's working, it's because you're trying to do all of these things in a body that's dysfunctional. And I mean to say that with the utmost love for you. Your body's probably dysfunctional. And we can't be a high performer. We can't show up as our best selves. We can't build the life of our dreams if we're in a body that just doesn't support that for us. And if we're in a body that just doesn't help us show up as our best self. A big reason that we can't think positive and be positive is because we just don't feel good in our bodies. And I know you know what that feels like, right? If your body feels bloated, if you feel slow and sluggish, if you feel heavy, and I mean, we've all been there. If you have all of these feelings like, and you're trying to think positive and do the manifestation and the visualizations and trying to take positive action towards your life, it just becomes so hard. And when you actually start to learn how to support and optimize your body, and specifically, we're going to talk about one important, huge, major thing for you to learn how to optimize today when it comes to your body. And when you start to do that, it just completely changes up how you show up in the world. And then all of the manifestations, the positive affirmations, the things that you're saying to yourself just work that much better. So, what is that one thing that we're going to talk about today when it comes to optimizing your body? It's your blood sugar levels. I talk about blood sugar levels and optimizing them quite a bit, but I feel like I need to just talk more and more about it. And at the end of this, I'm actually going to share some tips with you as to how you can start optimizing your blood sugar levels. But the first place to start is, how do you know it's your blood sugar levels that are potentially impacting your performance and your ability to show up in the world? So, a couple of signs and symptoms. Now, keep in mind that it's not just these signs and symptoms that prove that, right? The signs and symptoms I'm going to be sharing can also come from other things as well. And whenever I usually work with a patient, I'm always looking at their blood work, looking at their blood sugar levels. I get my patients to do a 2-hour insulin glucose challenge test. I'll talk more about what that is, but I'm looking at the data to really get an analysis and an in-depth look at how the blood levels are functioning. I don't know what's up with my doggo today. Usually he just sits and chills out, but he's all over the place today. And so getting into what are some of the signs and symptoms. So if you experience mood that just like woo is like all over the place during the day, right? Like you wake up feeling happy and then you're anxious and then you feel sad and then you're like okay again, and it's just like your mood just waxes and wanes. That's a huge sign. If you ever have dips in motivation and energy throughout the day, it's probably because of your blood sugar levels. If you find it hard to focus and concentrate, probably because of your blood sugar levels. You have a hard time recalling things. You constantly feel just like irritated or irritable, and you just feel like you don't have the resiliency to actually take on challenges. Blood sugar levels. So these signs and symptoms can also be from a lot of other things as well, but these are some of the most common ones that kind of indicate your blood sugar levels need support. Now, you also might be thinking, okay, blood sugar levels, like what the heck does that even mean? A lot of us think that we know what this means, but we often don't. So let me break it down for you so that it's really easy for you to understand what I mean when I talk about blood sugar levels. So when you eat anything sugary or carby, it gets broken down into a molecule called glucose. Glucose is then what goes, it floods your bloodstream. And glucose is essentially your body's primary fuel that it uses as energy, especially your brain. Now, here's the thing. Your muscles, your organs, your brain can't just use glucose on its own. So imagine you had like a muffin, okay? Your body breaks that down to a molecule called glucose, and all this glucose is now kind of waiting in front of your brain to be let in. Because remember, your brain can't just use glucose like that as energy. And so, in order for your brain, for example, to use glucose as energy, your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. It's the beta cells of the pancreas releases insulin. Now, insulin is your hormone. It goes and binds at receptors, at different organs, at different muscles. It goes and binds to the receptors of your brain. And when insulin binds at the receptors, at its specific receptors, this is what allows your organs, your muscles, your brain to actually start using glucose as a fuel. So I want you to think about insulin as like this door, right? It's like the key to the door. It opens the door, and this allows the glucose to be flooded in and to now be utilized as energy. This is the relationship between glucose and insulin. It's a very tightly regulated system. The reason for that is because if your blood sugar levels end up being too high, it could kill you. And if your blood sugar levels end up being too low, that could also kill you. So this is a very tightly regulated mechanism and system that your body has, and your body, as much as possible, wants you to have steady blood sugar levels. Now, what's happening to a lot of us is that we are not supporting our body to have steady blood sugar levels where it has consistent energy throughout the day because of our lifestyle factors. If you are eating all the time, all day long, you're snacking, you're having meals, and you're constantly putting food in your mouth, you're starting that blood sugar pathway over and over and over again. And if you're not eating the right foods, what ends up happening is that if you eat a food that is high in carbs and sugars, and here's the other thing that I want you to keep in mind. Sugar is sugar. It's all sugar. It doesn't matter if you have sugar from grapes or sugar from a Snickers bar. It's not like your body's like, oh, hang on a second. This is sugar from grapes. We should use this differently. And oh no, this is sugar from a Snickers bar. This isn't real sugar. We're going to use this differently. No, 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 no. It's all the same thing, buddy. Okay? It is all literally the same thing. So your body has no idea where it's coming from. Your body just breaks it down into that molecule. And so very important to keep in mind, and even when it comes to things like bread, right? Now, what you might also be wondering, right, when it comes to carbs specifically, you can have different types of carbohydrates. So you can have like simple carbs versus complex carbs. And the difference between simple and complex carbs is that the molecule of simple carbohydrates is simple. So when you have white bread, for example, your body readily breaks it down. Ooh, I'm gonna snap better. Yeah, practice this next time. Your body readily breaks it down and into that molecule glucose. So it just floods your bloodstream faster versus when you have complex carbohydrates, the molecule is more complex. So it actually takes your body a longer time to break down that molecule into the glucose. But at the end of the day, complex simple, it still breaks down into glucose. It's just the amount of time it takes your body to actually break it down. So very important for you to kind of know that difference. But at the end of the day, carby, sugary foods, it gets broken down into glucose. Now, if you have a meal that's high in carbohydrates, so a lot of us are starting our days off with high carbohydrates food, right? Well, like we'll have a giant bowl of oatmeal, all carbs, or we'll have like a muffin, or we'll have like a bagel or some bread. And so you're starting your day off with this big blood sugar spike. Your body's being flooded with the glucose. And then you know what's going to happen? In literally like 2-3 hours, a big, giant blood sugar crash. So just as fast as that blood sugar came up, You're also going to crash. Now, if it gets too low, your body will shoot out your stress hormone cortisol just to get those blood sugar levels back up. And then when you have this like big giant blood sugar crash, this is where your energy crashes, your mood crashes. You start to feel irritable. You start to feel like you can't tolerate and handle anybody else around you. You start to feel really hungry really fast, even though you just ate. And what are you going to do? You're going to try to look for some more food that's going to kind of give you that hit, that bump, right? And so we are experiencing these giant spikes and these huge dips of blood sugar all day long. And it's like, no wonder we can't think positively. No wonder we can't stay motivated consistently. No wonder we can't be energetic all day long. No wonder we feel like we can't handle any of the challenges that life brings us. It is because of this. Now, here's the other thing too, is that if we eat foods that are really high in sugar, what ends up happening is that it actually affects our neurotransmitters as well. So dopamine is your reward hormone, reward neurotransmitter, and it helps with like motivation, drive, all that stuff. And eating high sugar foods causes your body to surge dopamine, right? And then it causes dopamine to dip down just as fast. So we're just all day long on this lookout for our next dopamine hit, for that next sugar hit and drive. And this was a really alarming study when this is now we're just getting into like pure sugar in general, but they found that cocaine addicted rats, when they put cocaine and sugar in front of them, these rats actually went to sugar. Like, isn't that mind blowing? Cocaine addicted rats instead of cocaine chose sugar. Like, wow. Every time I share this with people, people are always just like, yeah, I would do that too if I was a rat, you know? But again, it just goes to show you, like, you need to understand the importance of regulating your blood sugar levels. And if you are truly someone who is serious about actually stepping into their potential, because I mean, this is what this channel is about. This channel is about helping people step into their full potential, because when you live life as just fully owning yourself, feeling good about yourself, just unapologetically going towards your dreams, life becomes 10 times happier. I truly think the happiest and hottest people are the ones who are just unapologetically going towards their goals. And I think you can relate to that too, right? Think about someone in your life, or maybe someone you look up to, who is just unapologetically constantly going towards their goals. Like, that is attractive stuff. Like, that is attractive. And they're just like radiating because they're living up to their potential, and they're living up to the greatness within themselves. And something I want to tell you too is that, like, you have this greatness within you. You're not any different. You just need to learn how to start supporting your mind and body so that you can finally start feeling good about yourself and start making choices that are going to help you actually live the life of your dreams. And you are so capable of that, and so much more. So let's get into now, what do you do about this? So if you relate to these signs and symptoms, you realize that your blood sugar needs support. How do you actually support yourself? After a quick little coffee sip. So first things first is that the first meal of your day, you need to start taking really seriously, because this meal is going to set the foundation for the rest of your day. You should really try to avoid high carby, high sugary foods in the morning. And by no means am I shaming carbs. I freaking love me some carbs, okay? I love me a bagel with some cream cheese. But there's the right time to have those things. And I don't have those things all the time. Very important to note. So the first meal of the day should always be high protein, high fat, aiming for at least like 30 grams of protein in that first meal of the day. Protein smoothies are a great way to get it in. If you want to have oatmeal, mix in some protein powder, having eggs, sausages, anything that's like high in protein, going to be super helpful. And then getting in some sort of, like veggies or like berries for that extra fiber component, adding in some sort of healthy fat, right? So like avocados, nuts and seeds, some healthy oils. I will literally wake up in the morning and just like 2 tablespoons of olive oil, measure them out and just gulp them down, because that's just how good healthy fats are for us. And your brain is also 60% fat, just so you know, right? So fat becomes very, very important for our brain health and to help us really function in the right way. So first things first, breakfast, making sure. And the other thing too is that I'm a big proponent of us eating breakfast. I really think that if you want to be fasting, like skip your dinner instead, because if you want to perform at your highest level, like your body needs nutrients. A lot of us will skip our breakfast and we'll drink coffee, but that just adds more stress to our morning. Versus if we just started our day off by eating some sort of breakfast that's high in protein, high in healthy fat, and have some sort of veggie fiber component with some fruits or berries, it'll really give us the fuel to help us feel good. And if you want to fast, skip your dinner because you don't really need that energy, right? Like you might just sit around and watch TV or whatever, but you don't really need that energy. Even the shift when I did my life completely just transformed how I showed up during the day. Now, the other piece too is that just making sure in general you're getting enough protein, healthy fats with every meal. I have patients all the time who are just like, oh, I'm eating healthy, but then I'm looking at their meals and it's just like, yeah, you think you're eating healthy, but you're really missing out on some important key nutrients, which are the proteins and healthy fats. The other piece that becomes really important too is that you need to stop eating all day long. Like we're eating all day long. And if you feel like, you're having your lunch or your breakfast and you're not feeling full, it's because you're not having enough protein and healthy fat with the breakfast or the lunch. So you need to make sure you're getting enough of those food components, enough of the fiber, because that's going to actually keep you full. Like you really shouldn't be eating until like 4 or 5 hours after a meal. Really, like that's how long a meal should be able to sustain you. We don't need 3 meals a day with like 3 snacks in between. Like whoever started that fad, like, oh my God, like everybody's blood sugar is like dysregulated because of this belief. So you don't need that. You don't need that much food. And also keep in mind too, like digestion is like such a massive energy sucking process. When your body is trying to digest food, it's like all the blood, the energy goes to like your organs to help make this process happen. So now if you're eating all day long, so those resources can be freaking going to your brain to help you function better if you just learned how to optimize the right nutrients for the specific meals that you were eating. Okay. The other piece too that's very important here is just moving your body more. Not enough of us are moving our bodies. We're just sitting down all day long, and just moving your bodies more makes such a big difference. And here's the thing too is like, I'm not just talking about going on walks during the day. Like do some strength training, actually get your heart rate up. I saw this reel the other day and I was like, this is so true. And in it, the girl essentially had, those reels where people have like a text in the background, they're just like kind of doing something. So she was like tying her shoes or going on a run. And the text essentially on it was that she was saying, we live in such an unhealthy and sedentary like era and society that like people consider a 15-minute walk to be exercise. And I looked at that and I was like, it's true. And I'm not gonna lie, like with some of my patients initially, like if they've never exercised before, we will start with that, but by no means is that going to be the goal, right? Like a walking is not enough exercise. You need to get your heart rate up. You need to build muscle. When you strength train and have 2 to 3 strength training workouts a week, having more muscles actually decreases your blood sugar levels and helps your body store the excess glucose better. It helps your body use excess glucose in a better way because then your muscles are using it up. So building more muscle and adding strength training workouts and actually doing things that are going to get your heart rate up and not just walking is going to make such a big difference in how you show up. So on top of trying to do a workout in the morning, I will go on like 2 to 3 30-minute walks during the day. And I don't rely on just the walks for my exercise and workout. I'm also doing other things that are going to get my heart rate up and keep those blood sugars down at a very healthy level. So really, really simple things, but they make such a big difference in how you show up. And ultimately, what I want to end with is that please don't underestimate the dysfunctions in your body and their ability to stop you from being a high performer and their ability to stop you from actually stepping into your full potential and helping you build the life that you actually want to build. Like, take your body seriously, because if you are truly just dissatisfied and feeling really upset about where you're at in life and how you're not able to show up with the productivity, with the motivation, with the level of enthusiasm and energy that you want to in life, it's because your body isn't supporting that. And making simple tweaks and changes and understanding how your body functions and the dysfunctions kind of showing up in your body make such a big difference in how you show up as a high performer. So go get support if you want to get support. I offer free 30-minute discovery calls if you want to learn more about the dysfunctions that are happening in your body that could be stopping you from feeling your best. Feel free to book a discovery call. I'm happy to educate you more on this stuff, but find a practitioner in your area, work with them, start to learn more about what foods you should be eating, how you should be moving your body, how you should sleep, if there's any supplements you need. And the one last thing I'm going to add into it with this is that it doesn't have to be complicated, okay? I think it's like a red flag if you're with the practitioner and they make it really complicated, because it doesn't have to be. It's usually the simple things done over time that are going to help you really and truly feel your best. So I hope this has really opened your eyes up to other things that could be happening in your life and with your body that are preventing you from showing up the way that you want to show up. So comment below and let me know, what are some of your big aha moments that you had through this video, and continue working on the stuff. I'm rooting for you. I'm hearing for you. I'm rooting for you and cheering you on, because I want you to step into your full potential, and I want you to own the greatness that is within you and radiate that to the world, because you are so capable of that and more.